Hey guys, long time no see. Alright, I've been on a Nin bender lately. I got a little tired of the 1 versus 1 build of Brea. So I've been playing Nin quite a bit. I find this deck really interesting, and it's still a work in progress. I feel like it still has some tuning to go. There's just a fair amount of games where you just struggle, and I don't know if that's because I haven't fine-tuned the deck correctly or whether or not just the archetype doesn't function very well in the current metagame. That said, I have been winning a majority of my games, or a substantial majority of the games actually, though the competition, of course, is inconsistent due to the fact that you can't get games in the tournament room, really, and you're forced to play in the just for fun room. I'm up this game against Marchesa the Black Rose, which is actually not the Marchesa you normally run into. Normally people play the black-red-white one because of its ability to give you the Monarch the moment you put it into play. I haven't really seen this one too much, but I assume he's got some sort of counter theme going on with it. Anyway, I think I'm first this game. I have a hand that is absolutely keepable, mainly because of the fact that it's got Ancient Tomb, as well as other mana sources in it. I have a Fabricate, which allows me to go get a 3-mana artifact to combine with my 2 sources of mana, Expedition Map to get another land, probably something like the Boiler Works maybe, or Wasteland, depending on what he does, and a Mox Opal as well to get Metalcraft going on once I fabricate it for something, and provided I don't sack the Expedition Map. But this deck has tons of artifacts in it anyway, so you can usually get it going on. The rest of the hand is just defensive and very keepable, probably upper 75th percentile in terms of hands in this format. Let's see what he does. All right, looks like he's first. And he inexplicably takes a point of damage on turn 1. I'm not really sure what that's all about, but maybe he just figured he's playing against a control deck and it won't really matter. We shall see. All right, Mr. YP Wang Zero. Copy artifact. That's quite interesting to go with the Fabricate, depending on what I'm able to go get. I love copying things like the Coalition Relic is probably the best early target to copy, because it's like putting 2 colored Mana Soul Rings into play. I'm just going to play the map here. Turn my volume down a little bit. Alright, so what's going on here? Shivan Reef and Dark Confidant. Ugh, that's gnarly. My hand is not prepared to fight that at all. I don't even have a second source of blue or red available, because I could Mystical Tutor during upkeep to Lightning Bolt that thing, and I certainly would do that. So it's going to at least draw him 1 card. Lightning Bolt's one of the cards that's in the deck in the 1v1 version. Alright, Forbid. Okay. So I have the option of fabricating here or going to fetch another land with Expedition Map, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to be sacking the map because I really want it to enable the Mox Opal. You figure you get mana on either side, and at least I can do other stuff while the map just sits there. And then once I get a 3rd artifact or I copy something, then I can sack the map. And also maybe the fact that I may be fetching a Wasteland, I'd like to see how his mana plays out and see which color he's particularly vulnerable in. So I'm just going to fabricate here. Bunch of different choices. Chrome Mox is totally not out of the question, given the fact that I have multiple counterspells in my hand and don't have the ability to play any of them. Also, Coalition Relic, a little bit longer of a play, a little bit slower, but at the same time, if I play Coalition Relic, I have the ability to immediately play Opal and play something like Nin the Pain Artist, and then just use Nin to shoot his Dark Confidant, which is not a terrible play at all. So ultimately, I decided that I'm not going to do either one of those. And the reason is because I need to go a little bit faster. And I need to, I really need to deal with that Dark Confidant a bit faster. And because the Jeweled Amulet enables Metalcraft with the Opal, it's like putting 2 mana into play on this turn, because I can charge the Opal at the end of the turn and have access to upwards of 5, which is the ability to potentially play Nin and Counterspell, which is really nice. And he reveals Lightning Mauler. It's a little bit strange, but alright. Sunken Ruins, an Expedition one, and he's going to tap mana here, play a Talisman of Dominance, and play the Lightning Mauler. And oddly enough, he doesn't Soulbind when either enters the battlefield. So this thing could have paired with the Dark Confidant, and they both would gain haste, and he could have hit me for 4, and he inexplicably does not Soulbind. So I just take 2. I'm going to Mystical Tutor during end step actually right now, and the reason is that I don't want to charging this thing and then spending the mana during my upkeep is basically a wash in either direction. So I'm just going to Mystical Tutor right now at the end of the turn and worry about charging this thing later. So I've got a bunch of different choices here. There are 3 that really stand out. I need to deal with the Confidant. So I've got Earthquake, a Lightning Bolt, Rolling Earthquake, and well, I guess Vandal Blast doesn't deal with it. And I have an additional card that deals with it in the form of Fire Ice. So I thought about this for a little bit, and I realized that because Earthquake and Rolling Earthquake both scale in late game, Fire Ice has the additional benefit of being able to tap stuff to draw. But I may wind up actually needing an Earthquake or a Rolling Earthquake later, given the fact that it looks like he's playing with a fair amount of creatures. And with that in mind, I decide to forego on both of the X spells and just simply go with Fire Ice right now, because it solves the problem pretty well and leaves both the X spells in my deck, because you never know when you might need X damage. I'm just going to tap right here. That's a weird sound. And I decide I'm going to copy Artifact on the Talisman, because I just immediately get a source of blue from that, as well as giving me Metalcraft even if I sacrifice the Expedition map, which allows me to go get another land right now and play. And I actually make a misclick here that winds up haunting me. I did not intend to get Flooded Strand, mainly because I've already got multiple sources of red mana, and I only need islands at this point. And while having multiple islands in play is pretty decent as far as the Shackles is concerned, I decided that I was going to get Command Tower, and Command Tower and Flooded Strand I think are alphabetically in order in my deck. So I misclicked and took the stupid Flooded Strand and wound up having to take 3 points of damage for no reason, which is pretty awful. But at least those 2 threats are gone, and I've taken 10 somehow already. Alright, he's got 4 men in play. He can just slam his commander here, and I can't do anything about it. But the thing is, unlike the other Queen Marchesa, this one is not really that scary, because it needs support to really do anything effective on the battlefield. So he casts Buried Alive, which is really an interesting card to see. And I'm really worried that he's going to do something insane, like simply just put Jin Gitaxias in the graveyard and then reanimate it, because he's still got a black mana source untapped. And also the fact that he left, he could have tapped a little bit differently, I suppose. Well, I guess he didn't have any way of casting Buried Alive. These all deal damage in one way or another. Anyway, so what's he going to get? And I see Bloodghast, Prized Amalgam, and Nether Trader in the graveyard. So these are all weird recursive things that I guess work well synergistically with the commander. All creatures you have dethrone. Well, he doesn't have to worry about dethroning me, given that I guess we have equal life totals right now. Whenever a creature controlled dies with a +1/+1 counter on it, return that creature to the battlefield at the beginning of each player's end step. So he's just trying to play. He needs to deal some damage to himself and get lower life than me, and then he can start getting counters back on his guys and bring them all back from the graveyard and just have this little synergistic thing going on. Kind of cool. And he plays a land, and unfortunately he's got a Bloodghast, but at least I'm at 20, so it doesn't get to attack right away. But this thing gets to come out right away as well. So for literally by playing a land, he gets a 2/1 and a 3/3. At least I'm still at 20. But I need some action really fast, and at least I've got enough mana to play. Oops, let's not do that. At least I have enough mana to play Nin, as well as Counterspell, which is a reasonably comfortable place. I'm still at 20, so I've got 4 turns to get myself out of this mess. Alright, they both come in, of course, and I just take the 5. Post-combat, he plays Disciple of Bolas, which, of course, I cannot allow him to resolve, because he'll probably either sack this thing and draw 3 cards, or he'll sack the Bloodghast and draw 2, and then immediately play a land to put it back into play. That's too much synergy, so I'm just going to dissipate here. Even though it means I take another damage, so I should be at 17 here, not 14. And that prevents me from tapping and using the Jeweled Amulet, which is a shame. So I draw Jace. Jace is really interesting right now. I thought quite a bit about just playing Jace the Mind Sculptor and bouncing the Prized Amalgam, and then maybe even chump blocking with Nin. I had the other option of just playing Jace and using it to Fate Seal myself, and I would probably just go look for another land to get a bigger Nin activation, and figure he would just send his guys in, and I would have the option potentially of pinging the Bloodghast. Let's see if I have the mana to do that. Yeah, I do, actually. So I could have played Jace, could have +5'd it, or +2'd it to look at the top of my deck, and then when he attacks, I can just simply use Nin the Pain Artist to shoot the Bloodghast. It would allow him to draw a card, but at least it would keep Jace unfettered, and then I would have a 2-counter Jace and be able to potentially deal with everything else he's doing. But the problem is the Forbid's dead at that point. If he plays his commander, I'm in big trouble. There's just a lot of different ways that goes wrong. And I ultimately decide I can't play the Jace here, and I have to just simply say done and pray that he's not playing with any instant speed removal, because I'm running out of time really fast here. And the Bloodghast gets a lot more dangerous once I get below 10. So he doesn't play anything. So here I'm just going to block the Amalgam. And this is this is just tap and pray. Spending all my mana, and this silly Jeweled Amulet that I got a while back is still doing nothing. But at least I have a potential Nin activation for 5. And I'm just thinking to myself, if he's got any form of removal, I'm just dead on the spot here. I don't think that there's any way I can come back. Even though I'm only taking 2 this turn, he's going to be able to play another thing, and I'm going to have nothing going on but the Jace the Mind Sculptor. But it works. And I get 5 cards out of it, which is 2 precious lands, as well as a Baral Chief of Compliance, which is super handy because it's going to be able to allow me to block the Bloodghast. 1-3 versus 2-1. Pretty nice. And then he plays post-combat this Liliana Heretical Healer. Pretty gnarly, actually, right now. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, it comes back, it causes discard, and it regrows stuff from the graveyard. I really kind of like this guy's deck. It's not really using a particularly played commander or strategy, but it seems to have a lot of neat synergies going on. He's obviously given a lot of thought to the cards that he's using, which is always really refreshing to see, and it's one thing I really like about the format. You don't see that very much, unfortunately, in the Commander League, because everybody is just trying to play to win, to get those treasure chests and stuff and points. But here, people can experiment a little bit more. And then he casts Smallpox post-combat, which is so devastating right now because of the fact that it's going to sack a creature, it's going to get me below 10, and it's going to flip this stupid Liliana, which means he can regrow another creature right away. And of course I have to discard. It's going to throw away the Coalition Relic. And reason being that, based on the way that the game is shaping up, I just don't see that I'm going to have room to play that card right now, given the fact that I'm losing another land and I'm just running out of time. So I don't think that I'm going to have the space to play a 3-mana artifact. And of course, he gets a zombie out of the deal. His guy flips, and then he gets to regrow the Dark Confidant as well, and that big guy comes out too. So now I am in super deep shit. This is almost like a no-win situation. It looked okay last turn, especially after I drew 5. But now he's got 9 power and creatures in play, as well as an active Planeswalker, and I'm at 9 with nothing. Like, what the hell can I do here? Well, let's just see. Let's just see if we can think our way out of this conundrum. Okay, so the first step is certainly just playing Brawl. So I'm going to play Jace first, actually. And after giving this some thought, I decide that I just need to draw 3. And at least this is going to draw fire. It means that he's going to have to assign at least 1 or 2 attackers to it, which should buy me some precious life points. And I'm really, really fishing right now for the one primary out in the deck, or one of the 2, which is the 2 Earthquake effects that I left back in there a long time ago when I tutored for the Fire Ice. And I'm really, really hoping to hit one of those. Imagine if I were to hit one right now. I have enough mana to play a land. Actually, I don't think I've played a land yet. And Quake for 3, which would kill his board as well as the Planeswalker, and leave me with the Jace the Mind Sculptor in play, which would be big enough still to survive a hit from a hasted Bloodghast. But unfortunately, my deck just delivers something that you just often see a lot of the time with decks that are heavy in counterspells, where you need something proactive and you just draw all defensive cards. So I got to put 2 of those back, which is devastating. But at least the Baral will allow me to potentially draw 2 cards, one off the remand on the next turn, as well as the Baral's activation. So I can at least dig past the two things that I just put back to continue to try to survive this one more turn. So I play Baral. I guess I had played a land there. And say done. All right, so basically, assuming Baral blocks here, I'm at 1 right now. If he has anything, I'm all but dead. And he gets to draw an extra card. So off the Confidant, he reveals something. Champion of Wits. When it enters the battlefield, you draw cards equal to its power. If you do, discard 2 cards. And it's got this Eternalize ability as well. So it's got more synergy with throwing creatures in the graveyard, obviously. And it's very scary right now. Now he's up to 3. Alright, it plays a Steam Vents. Takes 2. That's really interesting, actually. He's still... It's funny how much life parity we've actually had this game, given the fact that I haven't really dealt any damage to him. He's dealt himself basically 22 points of damage with his lands, his effects, and with things like Smallpox and so on. Just bizarre. Alright, so he taps 3, and he plays Champion of Wits. And I decide that I just need to remand this because I'm just going to basically counterspell anything that he plays in order to draw 2 cards deeper. Because I know that I can get to 1, and the fact that he's gone down to 8 means that I could, through some weird outside chance, potentially survive long enough that the Dark Confidant might kill him, or maybe I could at least eke out a draw. And a draw is certainly better than a loss. even when you're playing casually. All right, so I draw twice, and I get that Stoic Rebuttal in the Reef, so I'm just going to throw away the Reef since I'm not going to keep a Bane land at 7. All right, effectively at 1. And then he plays Phantasmal Image, and as soon as he plays this, I'm like, okay, well, I'm dead, because he just copies Bloodghast, and he's got 8 power of attackers around the Baral, and that's game. And my hand actually went and hovered over the Concede option, but I decided, you know what, I'll just see. Maybe he'll be dumb and he'll copy, I don't know, his Amalgamation or his Confidant. And sure enough, Prized Amalgamation, which does not have haste. Wow, I'm still at 1. So he thinks for a while, and I'm pretty sure that he considered whether or not to attack into the Jace or to attack me, but I think attacking me here is absolutely correct. Yeah, and I just block here as a chumper, and I go to 1. 1 life against this army, and my opponent is still at 7. And if you notice, of course, even if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I have enough mana to cast a Rolling Earthquake or an Earthquake for lethal on him to at least tie the game. The only problem is that requires me to tap an Ancient Tomb when I'm at 1, so that does not work. I'm going to need some alternate route. And I just throw in one of these 3 mana counters because that's not going to do anything. Cryptic Command. Holy shit. What an absolutely perfect top deck. He has no cards in hand too, so that's going to buy me another turn, as well as another use of Jace the Mind Sculptor, which I, of course, immediately use now, and I've got to throw 2 cards back. So it's just going to be 2 mana. And because I need mana to potentially tie this game that isn't Ancient Tomb, I also keep the Felwar Stone to keep my mana ramping a little bit. All right, 2 more draw steps. Come on, Confidant, beat the hell out of him. Come on, let's see, like 5 damage. 0. Damn it. Hall of the Bandit Lord. All right, that's fine. I wasn't really counting on winning with Dark Confidant anyway. So he declares his attack step, and of course I've got this miracle Cryptic Command in my hand. Tap and draw. Yes. No damage taken. I'm still at 1. So he goes back to his guy. He plays his Hall. And he plays Goblin Rabblemaster. I'm not sure why he didn't play that pre-combat, because he would have gotten a 1-1. Not that I wouldn't have been able to tap it anyway, but it certainly seems like he would have wanted to play it to get a free creature. But it doesn't affect the board right now. And then, of course, he can use his guy to make a split discard when he has no cards in hand. I'm going to do that at some point. Yeah, he does that. And I'm just going to throw away the negate. Definitely the most useless card in my hand, because it seems like his whole deck is basically just creatures. All right, this is it. The moment of truth. Charge. Jeweled Amulet. Untap. Draw. I knew that was there. All right, Jace, deliver. Force of Will and Rolling Earthquake. Wow, utterly incredible. Leaving that in my deck earlier, buying myself an extra couple of precious turns, him forgetting to copy his Bloodghast with his Illusionist, has allowed me to insanely, improbably tie this game. And with glee, I tap all my mana. Totally crazy. Not tapping the Ancient Tomb. And slam a Rolling Earthquake for 8 to tie it. Utterly amazing. So this is probably the happiest draw that I've played to in a very long time, just given how utterly impossible the situation was earlier. But I think it's a very good example of kind of playing to your outs. I had no realistic chance of winning this game. I don't think that, because I was so low in life, even a Cyclonic Rift wouldn't have pulled the game out for me. I don't have any direct X spells. So the only way to really win this game was with Rolling Earthquake, and I had to make, or regular Earthquake, and I had to make every possible decision correct to sculpt that outcome, and that is exactly what happened, which was pretty awesome. And I thought it made for a fantastic video. And speaking of fantastic videos, I've got another Nin game coming right up that is quite incredible in its own right. Hope you guys enjoyed that one, and I will see you all soon.